What's going on, guys? It's Keefe. In this video, we're going over 4 masculine traits that every man must have. Be sure to get all of these. Number 3 is my favorite one in particular, and let's get straight into it. All right, so the first one I got down here is chivalry. And chivalry in the modern world has been conflated with being a nice guy. People think chivalry, nice guy, but that's not true. Chivalry is not about trying to get approval. It's about respect, and it's about acting manly in the context of a courtship process. The problem with modern relationships is we don't really understand the purpose of the courtship dynamic. So it's usually the whole process, the whole point of everything is just sex. So we've lost the point of chivalry to begin with. And so chivalry, if you look at the things that are involved in chivalry, it's kind of like a man acting in a way to like lead the woman and to like show his ability to like take care in a sense in like these little nuanced ways. And chivalry is also it's your own personal take on chivalry, right? Like there's no real like chivalry isn't opening the car door for a woman. That's not necessarily chivalrous. You could just be a total nice guy doing that. Now you might do that just because that's your thing, but if you're doing it for approval seeking or trying to get her to like you, you're doing it wrong. Now I want to make this clear, not every woman is really going to appreciate this or understand what chivalry is, but my point is you shouldn't want every woman. You should want the right woman, and the right woman will appreciate this. Women who've been raised in good families with strong father figures and more of a traditional setting, which most guys, if they're looking for a long-term relationship, that's what you're going to want to look for. Those types of women are more likely to appreciate this. And again, chivalry and nice guy are not the same thing. To think about doing something chivalrous, if you thought about it and said, I'm only doing this behavior because I want her to like me, then don't do it. But if you're thinking, this is just the polite thing to do, this is the respectful thing to do, this is how I treat a woman, then do it, okay? So like I was saying with the car door example, if you pulled up to her house and she came out and you thought to yourself, should I open the car door? Should I open the car door? And you're like, well, I want her to like me, so I guess I'll get out and open the car door. Well, you did it wrong. Don't do that. But if you're sitting in the car and you said, that's just how I am, that's how my dad raised me or whatever, and you get out and do it, then there's no big deal to it. Essentially, it's about being your own mental point of origin while treating her in the proper context. And the funny thing about chivalry, again, this is an old school thing, but I think a lot of this old school stuff worked, right? Like we've got massive divorce problems in our society these days. Nobody's really happy in their relationships and stuff like that. Everyone's cheating and doing all this stupid stuff, and nobody, like I said, nobody's really even happy. So maybe we should go look at what worked in the past, and this worked. And chivalry, ironically, it's not a nice guy thing if you do it right, because it makes everything man to woman in a sense. Like you wouldn't like pull the chair out for your boys when you're going out to eat, right? Which maybe you do that for the girl if that's something you do, or like it's about putting it in the context of man to woman. But chivalry is involved in like a long-term kind of process, right? Like you wouldn't be chivalrous to a girl you're going to have a one-night stand with, like, usually speaking. You would be chivalrous to the kind of girl you're looking to have a serious relationship with. And that's what that's what I think true masculinity is about. I don't believe this whole idea that we're naturally polygamous creatures and that marriage is some social construct that we should avoid doing. I think it is an essential part of a well-developed human being and a well-developed man and woman. And so chivalry is part of that. Chivalry also leads to the other things like sex and things like that if done appropriately. Again, this is a hard one for a lot of guys to get because they conflate the two. They conflate chivalry with being a nice guy, but they're not the same things. You don't have to be an asshole to get a girl to like you. You can be like just a high-class kind of guy who's not looking for her approval. He just acts like a respectable man, you know? Second one I got down here is sacrifice. Most men don't understand sacrifice, and it's actually called Peter Pan syndrome when you don't get this, because symbolically speaking, Peter Pan, the word pan means infinite. It's like this god of infinite potential. It's like I think it was either Egyptian or Greek god. It had something to do with potential. And so Peter Pan, if you've seen the movie, he goes off to Neverland, and Neverland is this dreamland where he can do whatever he wants. Essentially, he never grows up. And this is what a lot of guys have. They have this Peter Pan syndrome thing where they never grow up, and part of growing up is sacrifice. And so what I mean by sacrifice is I don't mean like the plow horse kind kind of guy in a relationship who sacrifices and is the doormat of the relationship. What I mean by sacrifice is understanding that in order to be great, you have to sacrifice your infinite potential for a focus on a specific task. And most guys don't understand the concept of sacrifice. They want to keep their infinite potential. So a good example of this is maybe you were a 3-sport athlete in high school, but you had to sacrifice 2 of the sports to go play college sports on one specific sport that you wanted to be great at so that you could practice it year round. And so that's a good example of sacrifice, but men don't understand that this is an essential part of life. You're going to have to make sacrifices, and sacrifice is about choosing options. It's about weighing choices and deciding what the best decision is, because even if you don't take an action, if you don't like for example, if you chose to remain as infinite potential, well, you're sacrificing your ability to be a master at something. So sacrifice the potential for actual mastery of a specific thing. This is what a lot of guys don't understand, but it's really important to do this. And I can tell you about this. Like, I used to love playing basketball. I played basketball all the time, and like when I was like 13, I wanted to go to the NBA and all this stuff. And so over time, I kept playing basketball, like even after I knew the NBA dreams weren't going to happen. I just played basketball because I enjoyed playing basketball. But as time has come along, I don't play basketball hardly at all anymore, and it's not because I don't really like basketball. It's just because I had to sacrifice some random things so that I could focus on the things that were really important to me and my development as a person. So I still play basketball every now and then, but again, it's that sacrifice. Am I going to keep being like halfway decent at basketball and sacrificing my ability to be great at the things I need to be great at, just so I can keep doing these things? And a lot of guys don't get this. You got to cut off a lot of things, sacrifice a lot of things for mastery in specific areas. Sacrifice also plays into a relationship when you think about it. When you choose a committed relationship, you're sacrificing the potential with all the other women if you're doing it correctly. And this is like, a lot of guys would say, why would I even do that if I could have all these women? And there's a concept and an understanding that is lost on modern people, and that is that having commitment to a specific thing is more valuable than having infinite options at your disposal. It's actually a book called The Paradox of Choice, and it talks about how the more options you have, the less happy you are. So when you refine down on specifics, whether that be a relationship or a career path, whatever it is, and you focus on that, it removes complexity from your life, and also there's more depth and meaning that comes out of a committed long-term process to something rather than having infinite short-term options available to you. Third one is resilience. Too many people in our modern world, men and women, but since this is about masculinity, we'll talk about men in general. Men just give up way too easy when something doesn't go the way they expect. You should learn to understand that part of being, like, if anything you'll do is obstacles. It's just part of how it goes. And next time, this is a good reframing you can do if you find yourself up against an obstacle and you want to quit, is you can think this is part of being a man. A man plows through resistance, and he's resilient about it. If you think about every great movie you've watched, there's a part where the hero's down and out and he has to rise up and fight back. That's resilience in action, and you love the hero for that. If the movie ended with the hero saying, I quit because he got beat one time, you wouldn't like the character very much. So think of yourself in, like, just truly embody the role and say, I'm stepping into the role of the masculine man. I'm being the hero of my own story by being resilient, overcoming obstacles, and accomplishing my dreams in this world. This is a really important thing to have because it breeds confidence. When you're resilient, you become more confident because you know you can handle things, you can withstand the blows life hands you. If you quit when life gets hard on you, you just start to doubt yourself more, and you can see the kind of people who have quit when life got hard on them. And you just, quite frankly, you look at these people and the life just looks like it's been sucked out of them. They have denied themselves the opportunity to fully experience life by not being willing to be resilient. Actually, part of truly experiencing life is going through the obstacles and getting whacked. People who, I envy people who have not had to get beat down a little bit in their lives because they just don't have that grit in them, and they don't know what it's like to truly succeed because they don't know what it's like to have truly fallen. So getting that resilience down is super important. It's a very attractive quality too, because women, children, like your family, they're all gonna be counting on you to be resilient when things get hard. Like the man is usually not supposed to be the one weeping at a funeral, right? Like it's usually like the wife's crying, the kids are crying, and he's holding it strong for the family type of deal, right? Like we all know this. That's part of being resilient. You just got to be strong, and that's resilience. The fourth one I've got down here is becoming your own mental point of origin, and so many guys don't quite understand this. They think that I think they're so caught up in trying to please somebody else that they think they're being themselves when they please the other person, and that's not true. So being your own mental point of origin is about making the best decision for you, and the best decision for you might include the best decision for other people involved. Like if you're in a committed relationship, the best decision for you, if you're interested in keeping the committed relationship, is to make a good decision for you and your partner. But that doesn't mean pleasing your partner or kowtowing to your partner just to make her happy. You got to make yourself happy as well. And guys don't understand the difference between these a lot of times. And then a lot of times they'll go on the other extreme and they'll be like, I can't do anything to make the girl happy or the friends happy because then I look like I'm just a pleaser. And that's not true, because again, you're still putting that person at the center rather than putting yourself at the center. Guys do this ironically a lot with girls when maybe they're texting a girl or they're out with a girl and they're constantly running through their mind, what can I do to make myself look high value to this girl? Or what can I do to make this girl attractive to me? And so they start doing these things that put off the impression that they are their own mental point of origin or that they're high value and they don't care about the girl. But again, she's the center of that reason they're doing it. They're not doing it because that's naturally who they are. They're doing it to fake it to her, and all fakes always get exposed. So if you're doing things like this to try and fake a girl out, it's not going to work. You got to be your own center, your true center of who you are. Part of this understanding is also accepting the fact that people aren't always going to like you when you do this. So if your entire purpose, if the center of who you are is trying to get other people to like you, then this isn't going to work for you. You got to dispense with that idea. If you think that being your own mental point of origin is going to make every girl attracted to you, it's not. In fact, most of them aren't going to be. But again, it's about getting the right kind of people into your life and deciding, like, my happiness is not defined by whether a girl likes me or a friend likes me or whoever it is. My happiness is defined by my own happiness and making the right decisions for me. And that's what mental point of origin is all about. Once you really grasp this, your life just feels so much better and you just feel less needy. You don't need these people in your lives, because when you start making the right decisions for you, you're just happy in general, and the right people will come into your life as a result of that. Guys, if you got something out of this video, be sure to give me a like so I can reach more guys through the algorithm. Also, hit the bell icon and subscribe button so you don't miss tomorrow's video. If you don't hit the notification bell, YouTube is not going to share with you all of my videos. So if you want to see tomorrow's video, make sure you hit that bell icon. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll talk to you tomorrow.